Patreon sells one of the most seductive promises in the creator economy, recurring income. Sign up enough patrons, the pitch goes, and you build a stable monthly paycheck that compounds. So we pulled the multi-year data on what actually happens. A large-scale academic study examined every Patreon pledge from the platform's launch through the end of 2020. More than $2 billion across roughly 130,000 earning creators. The picture it draws is not a steady paycheck. It's a steep cliff with a thin crowd at the top and a long, churning tail beneath. We audited the recurring revenue promise against the churn. First, the frame, because the word recurring does a lot of hidden work. It sounds inherently stable. Money arrives every month without reselling anyone. But recurring revenue is only stable if it doesn't leak. Every subscription runs on one equation. The money you keep next month equals what you have this month, plus new patrons, minus the ones who quietly cancel. That last term is churn, and on Patreon, it's the term nobody puts in the marketing. The platform reports total creators and total payouts, big, rising numbers. What it almost never shows is how fast the base under those numbers erodes. So the real question isn't whether you can get patrons. It's whether you can keep them faster than they leave on a page that earns enough to matter. Start with how the money is actually split. The academic study sorted earning creators into tiers, and the gaps are enormous. The top 100 projects earned a median of around $25,000 a month. The next 1,000, about $4,200. The next 10,000, roughly $650. And the remaining 100,000 or so creators, the overwhelming majority, earned a median of about $28 a month. $28. Not a fringe case, the median. The Gini coefficient of earnings lands near 0.84. For scale, the most unequal national economy on Earth sits around 0.63. Patreon's distribution is more top-heavy than any country's. The recurring paycheck is real for a few hundred creators. For everyone else, it's pocket change. Translate that distribution into odds, because odds are what a creator is really buying. Using the same dataset, the probability that a creator with any earnings clears $100 a month is about 0.24, roughly 1 in 4. The probability of clearing $1,000 a month is about 0.026, under 3%. And this echoes an older count, the back when Patreon had under 80,000 creators. An analysis found fewer than 2% earned even the federal monthly minimum wage. 2 snapshots, years apart, same story. The reason is the patron-level math underneath. Mean earnings per patron run about $6.80 a month. The median is closer to $4.50. Only about 15% of pages earn more than $10 per patron. So to reach $1,000 a month, a typical creator needs roughly 150 to 200 active patrons and needs to keep them. Now subtract the platform, because the headline pledge is never what lands in the account. Patreon's legacy plans charge a platform fee of 5, 8, or 12% depending on the tier, and for new creators the standard plan is now a flat 10%. On top of that sits payment processing, roughly 2.9% plus 30 cents on payments over $3, and a steeper 5% plus 10 cents on the small ones, which matters when the median pledge is so low. Run it on a single $5 pledge under the standard plan. 10% is 50 cents to Patreon. Processing takes another 35 cents or so. The creator nets roughly $4.15. The platform stack ate around 17% before $1 of tax. 10% is broadly competitive, so the fee drag isn't the villain. The point is subtler. When your median patron pays so little, fixed per transaction fees bite hardest exactly where the creators are thinnest. Here is where recurring quietly betrays its own definition. Industry benchmarks put healthy monthly patron churn in the 5 to 10% range, with anything above 15% signaling that pledge value and content cadence have drifted apart. Watch what even a modest rate does over a year. Start with 100 patrons. At 8% monthly churn with no new signups, you keep about 92 after the first month, around 66 by month 5, and roughly 38 by month 12. More than 60% of that cohort is gone in a year, not because anyone hated the work, but because subscriptions decay by default. The academic data adds a caveat across creators of every size. Maintenance rates outpace churn rates, so the average page retains more than it loses. But the average hides the tail. The survivors are the ones running fast enough on acquisition to stay ahead of a curve that never stops draining. But who actually beats the curve? The retention research points at one pattern again and again, and it isn't reach. Patreon's own data found that creators who give their patrons a custom name, a small signal of belonging, see on average 4 to 8% higher monthly retention. The academic study found something stranger. Patrons who pledge to a narrow, devoted set of creators are the most loyal to those creators, even though they churn off the platform as a whole more often. In plain terms, the durable patron isn't a browser sampling many pages. It's someone who has made your page part of their identity. And notice what that rules out. High follower counts don't predict retention. The study found high-earning creators attract big audiences whose members are less likely to pledge broadly. Virality fills the top of the funnel and does almost nothing for the bottom. The survivors aren't the creators with the biggest reach. They're the ones who turned a small audience into a community that would notice if the page went dark. So does Patreon's recurring revenue promise hold up against the churn? Partly, and only for a specific kind of operator. The data is blunt. The median earning creator makes about $28 a month, fewer than 3 and 100 clear 1,000. The income distribution is more unequal than any national economy, and even a healthy churn rate quietly erases most of a cohort inside a year. Recurring is not a synonym for stable. It's a base that shrinks unless you keep feeding it. But the same data hands you a filter for whether your page survives. 3 questions predicted. 1. Can you reliably acquire faster than your patrons churn every month indefinitely? 2. Is your average pledge high enough that a 150 patron page actually pays you after the platform takes its roughly 10 to 17%? And 3. Are you building the kind of loyalty that comes from a named identity-level community rather than chasing reach that leaks straight out the bottom? Pages that answer yes to all 3 turn churn into a manageable cost. Pages that can't are running a treadmill that speeds up every month they stop sprinting.